I've started decorating the wall behind me again, and it's not lost on me that I'm talking about the class divide. And the first thing I put on my wall is representation of a billionaire. I don't know. Hello, and welcome to 5225, 52 Weeks of Loving Movies, week 36. Theme this week is upstairs versus downstairs. We're talking about the class divide and movies that cover that in some way. Now, there's a laundry list of movies that I love about that because this is a subject that interests me greatly. Number one, I've covered a bunch of them, but also there's just so many that I wanted to see, and I just didn't get around to as many as I wanted. But I think the ones I did watch were really good and different representations of that, with a weird common theme that I didn't realize until until I got through them. But let's get it out of the way and start with the first one. Actually, the first two, because I'm covering these together, and they are Knives Out and Glass Onion, Knives Out Mystery. Um, Now, I remember when Knives Out came out and I saw it in the theater and I just fell in love with it instantly. I'm a big fan of Ryan Johnson. Um, it took me a couple times watching Brick before I realized that I liked that movie, which I think I've covered on this channel, but I'm pretty sure I covered on this channel already, Brick. But it took me a couple times to realize that oh, okay, I the things that annoy me are on purpose and they're actually brilliant. But I'm a fan of his movies just kind of across the board, including his Star Wars movie, which to me is the second best Star Wars movie ever made. And I know that's divisive, and yell at me in the comments, please. But I just want to say I have no shame about loving that movie. It's just the right kind of movie for me. But let's talk about Knives Out. When I saw this one in the theater, I instantly fell in love with it. I love, because he's really good at this, the deconstruction of what a murder mystery is by revealing the big secret in the middle of or really not even in the middle. It's like 40 minutes into a 2 hour movie, or something, 30 minutes. I don't know. It's pretty early. They reveal the big mystery, the big secret. And then you spend the rest of the time exploring this world and exploring what this means for our characters. Um, I think that putting Marta as the central character in this movie was just brilliant because she is likable, she is relatable, she is clearly from a marginalized group, and clearly a lower class person in terms of the theme of this movie. She economically exists in the lower class, set up against all of these rich, but not just rich white liberal people, as they are kind of navigating this death of the paternal figure of this family, and how they react when their morals are actually put to the test, which is something I absolutely love because that's really what it's about. Is it's not just about how, you know, what you say, or how you present yourself and what you look like, but what you actually do when the chips are down. And that's one thing I really love about this movie. um Everything you need to know about this family is actually summed up pretty well in one little like 3-second moment, and that is when Don Johnson's character hands Marta a plate because he's finished with it, even though she's the nurse and not the maid, uh, just because he sees her as simply the help. And even though they keep telling her she's like one of the family, he immediately treats her as just part of the help, as just someone who is there to serve the family. Um, Not to mention when he's doing this while he's using her as a prop to justify his white liberal yet neocon beliefs about politics and who has a right to be in this country. But that's everything you really need to know about this family, is that little moment. Uh, if you have never seen Knives Out, I highly recommend going and watching it, because it's funny. It's got a really good kind of murder mystery in there. It's the characters are all really great and well drawn. Um, you'll laugh, you'll get furious. It's just such a good time. And then he came out with the sequel to Knives Out, um, which was Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery. And with this, he just follows Benoit Blanc, who Daniel Craig's character from the first movie, the detective who kind of figures it all out, follows him to another mystery. And this one has very similar structure style in terms of how the story is told. Um, so we weren't really getting anything new with that, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of what you want from this type of a character, is you want to see them ply their trade, and you want to see them in different situations, but with the same kind of elements and the same themes and uh the same structure. That's how these type of series work, and I think that is completely fine. This one doesn't go into the upstairs downstairs quite as much, although there is some class uh discussion, and there's some class themes in this, but it's mostly about upper class people and how shitty they can be. It doesn't really cover who they're doing it to quite as much, although a little, but not quite as much. It doesn't quite hit that side of the coin on it. But it's also a movie I really like. It diminishing returns and all. It does to me work a little bit not quite as well as Knives Out, but the characters are so good. Dave Bautista is the best wrestler turned actor, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many. I can't wait for him to one day collect an Oscar, hopefully before The Rock does. But it looks like The Rock is trying for that pretty hard right now. And it just the characters are so well drawn. It's funny. It leaves you these little clues, and if you see them, then great. You feel good about having seen them. If you don't see them, then great. You are entertained by seeing the pieces be put together in front of you, and that's what I love about these type of movies. And they're both really good. If you've never seen them, I highly recommend checking out both Knives Out movies. The new one, the third Benoit Blanc movie, Wake Up Dead Man, is coming out at the end of this year, and I'm very, very excited for that. Uh, and it's got a lot of actors I really like in it again too. So I'm excited to get to dive into that one once it comes out. Maybe I'll do a review on it once it comes out to kind of to tie in here. But I'm going to leave it there. We're going to run through these kind of quick today. Well, quick for me. But I'm going to leave that one there, and we're going to move on to the next movie I watched, which was another rewatch, and actually one of the basis for this theme. I was thinking about this movie when I came up with it, although it is a subgenre that I love and that I seek out. Um, I knew that that a lot of the other ones were going to fall into other categories. Parasite, I was always going to cover before I got here, stuff like that. But this one is the one that I originally had thought of when I was coming up with this theme. I was like, okay, I can watch Gosford Park. Now I've mentioned Gosford Park on this show before, and that is because uh, uh, when I watched Scotland, PA, I mentioned how shamefully I, for some reason, conflated those movies, even though they're not really anything alike, except there's a murder mystery situation or there's a murder involved. But they're not really alike, except for maybe they came out around the same time, perhaps. I don't know exactly what connected them to me, but so for a long time I hadn't seen either of them. When I finally watched Gosford Park, I was like, I thought this was based on Macbeth. Obviously, it's not. That's what Scotland, PA is. If you've never seen this and you like Downton Abbey, watch this movie. It is written by the creator of Downton Abbey. This was the inspiration for Downton Abbey. It and I the first times I had watched this, I had not watched Downton Abbey, but since then, my wife and I did dive into Downton Abbey, and then now going back and watching this, I'm like, oh, I see everything that makes this very similar to Downton Abbey. Like I completely understand why it gets compared to that, other than the uh, writer being the same and this being the inspiration for Downton Abbey. But it has very much the same tone, the same themes. This one was directed by Robert Altman, who's an incredible director, someone whose filmography I really want to dive into a bit more because I've seen a lot and I love basically everything I've ever seen by Robert Altman. But I kind of want to dig further into his filmography because he does such a great job with a large cast. Another thing I really love about this movie is that it features one of my favorite people on the planet, which is Stephen Fry, and he's not in it a whole lot. He plays the inspector, and there's a nice running joke about his name in this movie, but we're just going to call him the inspector. But he plays the inspector who comes after the murder happens and is investigating it. And just getting to see him on screen a little bit, even though it's not really a huge consequential role, really makes me very happy. But I like this mystery. I like the story. I like following these different types of people. And this one is handles the upstairs downstairs thing in a very very different way than the Knives Out movies. In that it's literally showing both perspectives of the upstairs and downstairs people. Um, and how they interact with each other and how how they interact amongst themselves and then how they interact with each other and how that's different and what that can cause, what kind of society that can cause within each area, what kind of consequences there are for how you treat certain people. um it's really it's a long movie and there's a lot of dialogue and there's a lot of things going on, but if you can kind of focus in and let the movie unfold, it's a really really brilliantly written and brilliantly made film that I really love. So if you've never seen Gosford Park and you like Downton Abbey, watch it. If you've never watched Downton Abbey or Gosford Park, check out Gosford Park. See if you'll like Downton Abbey. Of course, Downton Abbey unfolds under a much longer period, so it has the luxury of moving a little bit slower. But yeah, it's a movie I very much like. Ryan Phillippe is in it. Bob Balaban, Maggie Smith, who is also in Downton Abbey, Helen Mirren, Clive Owen, young Clive Owen too, and Michael Gambon. It's it's a really good movie, and I highly recommend it. But I'm going to move on from this. See, we're moving quick. I'm going to move on to the last movie I watched for this week, which was Akira Kurosawa's High and Low. This one actually took a little bit of time for me to catch the class divide. Not fully, because there's something very obvious that happens early on, and but it's a little heavy-handed, and then it just kind of it doesn't really have the it didn't feel like it had the discussion elements that I was looking for, or the very fine-tuned commentary on class that I was looking for. But as the movie unfolds, it kind of turns the class divide story on its head and um, tells it a little bit differently. And the first half and the last half are very different movies too. If you don't know what it's about, I'm not going to spoil it too much. I will say that you may have already seen a movie that's based a movie that's a remake of it, which is Highest to Lowest. Spike Lee's new movie is a remake of High and Low. I have not seen that one yet, but I'm very interested in seeing it now. I mean, I was already interested. Spike's a brilliant director, but I'm very interested in going to check that out. Now that I've seen this, I'm even more interested. Um, but if you've never seen it, I'll kind of give you a brief synopsis of kind of what's going on, and you know, it's I'm not going to spoil anything major, but it may give away a couple plot details as I talk about it. But basically, it's about a guy who runs a shoe company in Japan, and he's looking to take over the shoe company by buying off a bunch of stocks, a bunch of shares of the company, and once he kind of has all of that finalized, he gets a call saying, "I've taken your son." So he believes someone has kidnapped his son. Well, he decides, I'm going to pay the ransom, which is most of what he had accrued to do this takeover of this shoe company. And then they realize when his son comes walking in that they took the wrong son. They took his chauffeur's son. And at that point, it becomes a struggle for him to decide, am I going to pay this ransom? It's not my kid. If I do, I'm ruined. I can't do what I've set out to do. And then as it goes along, that situation resolves itself, and it becomes a detective story, kind of a crime story, trying to find out who this person is, and it changes what the movie is. And at this point, it doesn't feel like it's got that same class story going on. It's not until I get really to the end and you find out what was going on and why this person did it that it makes it clear that it's always been a class story. It's just done a little bit differently, and I don't want to spoil how it ends, and that's kind of why I'm being a little bit cagey here with my discussion, with my conversation about it. But it's another one of those that kind of goes into the consequences of this caste system that was developed, and especially when you look at places like Japan and different Asian countries. Really, all countries have something like this, but especially when you look at like Japan, that kind of came out of a caste system. Like they come from the days of the samurai when there were just certain castes of people who were seen as above other people. And when you come out of that into kind of a more modern world, that still continues to affect the people, because that mindset doesn't change as quickly as society is trying to change from that. And we see that today, that caste system still exists in our country, and I say our country, in the United States, my country, but it looks a little bit different, and it's treated differently, and it's something that we have to pay attention to. And that's why I love these movies, because we can stick our head in the sand and not pay attention to this at all, and our lives will go about and feel like they are going how they're supposed to go, for better or worse. If we pay attention to these things, we see the consequences of what this does and how it affects us, and how our decisions and the decisions of people who have this power over us can affect our entire lives. It's something we have to pay attention to, and that's why I think these movies are so important, and that's why I love them so much. They are very important to me because I need to be able to see not only that other people care about this, but that there is hope, and that the discussion is being had. That's why I love this subgenre of movie. So if you've never seen any movies that really tackle that, here's four that I like. There are plenty of others. Parasite won Best Picture, and it's completely about the class divide. There are so many movies. Basically, everything by Bong Joon Ho is is about the class divide, which is probably why I love that him as a director so much. Um, I had mentioned earlier that there was a theme that I didn't realize was here, and that is the class divide, but set against like crime, like murder and or mystery, a mystery wrapped in this. And when you look back, that actually is a big part of the class divide subgenre. There's a line from a Mountain Goat song. Mountain Goats are one of my favorite bands. There's a line called "Cry for Judas," or there's a song called "Cry for Judas," and the line goes, "Unfurl the black velvet altar cloth, draw a white chalk Baphomet, mistreat your altar boys long enough, and this is what you get."
Unfurl the black velvet altar cloth, draw a white chalk Baphomet. Mistreat your altar boys long enough, and this is what you get. Sad and angry, can't learn how to behave. Still won't know how in the darkness of the grave. Long black night.
Now that's really more of a religion thing, but it is what that is about. If you mistreat a group of people long enough, the end is not going to be good, and that is not a threat from me, and that's not a threat from people of the lower class. That is a reality that at some point people are going to fight back. And I'm the type of person that believes that no one deserves to die. Um, and that, believe me, there are people that I do not lose sleep over, and there are people that that uh, it's hard for me to say they don't deserve to die. And this is not about anything recent politically, just so everyone knows. That's not what I'm responding to. I have plenty of opinions on that, but that's not what I'm talking about right now. There are people that whose death I do not mourn, but I'm the type of person that does not believe in killing people for that reason. However, I'm also a fan of revolution. I'm a fan of people standing up and doing what they have to reclaim what is theirs, or to fight for equality or anything like that. And sometimes that comes with violence. And while I do not like that, it's sometimes a necessary consequence of the structure. And so I'm not condoning the violence at all, but it happens, and sometimes this is the consequence of the way that people are treated. Uh, so I'm gonna leave the movies there now. Um, you're welcome to debate me about the class system or uh, the consequences in the comments. Please talk to me. I'm happy to hear it. Please don't please don't be too nasty. I'm just here to talk. So, and if I don't respond, it's because I probably didn't feel comfortable having a conversation with you. But let's talk about next month or next week. Next week, week 37, we're going to talk about my mom's favorite movies. Really, the theme is mother's favorite movies. So, you, if you're watching along, can watch your mother's favorite movies. I'm going to talk about my mother's favorite movies, and this one's going to probably come out on Friday because that is her birthday. And my mother passed away in 2019 unexpectedly while she was visiting my house. And it's a pain that I still have even all these years later, which it's not that many years, but when I think about it, it's like, gosh, has it really been that long already? But anyway, I'm going to talk about my mom's favorite movies, and and watch some of those this week in honor of her. So talk to me in the comments. What are some of your favorite upstairs versus downstairs class divide movies? Have you seen the ones I've watched? How do you feel about those? What are some of your mother's favorite movies? Are you going to watch them this week? Let's see. Talk to me in the comments. Thanks.